There's a moment inside Jaguar Land Rover's Electric Propulsion Manufacturing Center in Wolverhampton, where a Range Rover stopped looking like a Range Rover. Lower, sleeker, a roofline that drops instead of standing tall. For the first time in the brand's history, this is a Range Rover built to feel car-like rather than truck-like, and it just stepped into the light. Before we get into every inch of it, welcome to the Car Analyst, the channel that takes the vehicles everyone's suddenly talking about and breaks down whether the hype actually holds up once you look past the press photos. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because today we're covering something genuinely rare, a brand new Range Rover nameplate, the first one added to this family in years, and it happens to be fully electric. This is the Range Rover GT, previewed as the fifth member of the Range Rover lineup, and the brand's own managing director didn't hold back, calling this the most road car-like Range Rover the company has ever built, while insisting it still delivers off-road ability no traditional Grand Tourer can claim. That's a heavy statement from a brand that's spent 5 decades selling itself as the SUV that does everything. Does it back that up? The exterior alone reportedly took 4.5 years to shape. Picture the lowest stance any Range Rover has ever worn. The roofline drops, the shoulders rise, and what used to read as a tall, upright SUV now reads unmistakably as a 4-door coupe. Running the length of the greenhouse, front pillar to tail, sits what Range Rover calls the GT Blade, a raised sculpted panel atop the doors. A crease that catches light and pulls the whole silhouette into one continuous line. Up front, 3 slender illuminated lines stand in for headlamps. The grille has shrunk down, borrowing more from the compact Evoque than the full-size Range Rover, and the door handles disappear flush into the bodywork. Frameless doors swing open into a glasshouse cabin. The arches flare around staggered 22-inch two-tone wheels, and out back the tail cuts off abruptly. A cam-style truncation built purely to cheat the wind. What you're looking at on screen right now pushes that formula into full flagship territory, the kind of bespoke treatment Range Rover has historically reserved for its SV division. And if that pattern holds here, this is roughly the direction a range-topping GT would take. An exotic scale-textured wrap, gloss black forged wheels, and just enough gold detailing to make it clear this isn't the entry car. There will absolutely be an entry car too, and that's where things get interesting for anyone actually planning to buy one, rather than just admire it online. But first, step inside, because this cabin stops feeling like any SUV you've sat in before. The vents now run vertically, like slim columns instead of the usual horizontal sweep, and the whole environment feels stripped back, clean and gallery-like rather than button-heavy. In the back you get a real choice, a conventional 3-across bench, or 2 individual lounge-style seats split by a central control pad, either way bathed in light from a full-width panoramic roof. The steering wheel isn't really a wheel anymore so much as a control surface, with touch-sensitive zones that reposition it and adjust the mirrors, working alongside a new set of stalks, while a hidden sliding cover reveals a pair of wireless charging pads. Meridian handles the sound, and the door panels use a woven acoustic fabric that lets audio pass straight through instead of hiding speakers behind grills. Now picture that same architecture dressed the way our render imagines it. Starlight woven into the headliner, quilted leather thrones with extending leg rests, a chilled drawer holding crystal decanters and glassware, ambient lighting tracing every edge in warm gold. None of that is confirmed by Range Rover yet. That's our vision of a fully loaded flagship trim once the SV playbook gets applied here. But given this brand's history, don't be shocked if something close to it eventually exists. Under the skin, the GT rides on JLR's new electrified modular platform, an 800-volt system built for rapid charging and sharp throttle response, paired with a dual-motor setup and standard all-wheel drive. Range Rover is estimating over 300 miles on a full charge, with hybrid variants joining later once the electric version is established, and production is set for the Halewood plant in the UK. The same site JLR poured roughly £500 million into to build electric and combustion vehicles side by side. Officially, none of the hard numbers are locked yet. Range, output, and final pricing are all still marked as estimates ahead of the production reveal, and that matters for everything we're about to cover next. Right now, the number being floated publicly is a starting price around $90,000. At that level, the GT isn't just chasing other SUVs, it's stepping into a fight with the BMW XM, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, and the Aston Martin DBX 707, 4 vehicles with loyal, established buyers, and in some cases years of reliability data behind them. If Range Rover eventually rolls out a bespoke SV-level version like the one pictured here, expect that price to climb well past $200,000, putting it in the same conversation as a Bentley Bentayga. That's a huge spread, and which end matters to you depends entirely on why you're buying a Range Rover in the first place. That $90,000 starting point is honestly lower than a lot of people expected going into this, which suggests Range Rover wants the GT to actually move volume rather than sit as an unreachable halo model nobody outside a waiting list ever touches. Let's talk ownership, because this is the part most reveal videos skip. Running an electric Range Rover means budgeting for a home charger if you don't already have one. And public fast charging on longer trips costs noticeably more per mile than plugging in overnight at home. Insurance on a brand new luxury EV platform tends to run high early on, mainly because repair networks and parts pricing haven't matured yet. Tires on a staggered 22-inch setup wear faster and cost more to replace than most direct rivals. And we should be honest about the brand's track record, because Land Rover and Range Rover haven't led dependability surveys in recent years, and JLR has been through real turbulence lately, including delayed electrification timelines and supplier disputes. None of that means the GT itself will be unreliable. It's a fresh platform backed by serious new investment, but it's a legitimate factor anyone spending this kind of money needs to weigh, not wave away because the design is stunning. It's also worth asking your dealer directly about extended service plan pricing before you sign anything, since brand new platforms tend to lean hard on scheduled maintenance packages in that first year while everyone figures out where the actual problem areas are. So here's the honest breakdown, pros and cons, no filter. The design is genuinely the most distinctive thing Range Rover has produced in a generation. The interior feels like nothing else in this segment. The packaging still delivers real rear seat space despite that coupe roofline, and being first to market with an entirely new nameplate carries its own exclusivity. On the other side, you're paying flagship-adjacent money for a first-year platform with zero long-term reliability history. Final pricing and range aren't locked yet. Running costs on tires and insurance will bite, and depreciation on brand-new luxury EV platforms tends to be brutal in that first year alone. So, should you actually buy it? If you're someone who wants to be first, who values design leadership over spreadsheet logic, and who can absorb some early adopter risk without losing sleep over it, the GT is worth a deposit, especially if you can secure allocation on that flagship trim while it's still rare. If resale value and predictable running costs sit at the top of your list instead, wait for a full year of real-world ownership data, or seriously cross-shop the Porsche and Mercedes alternatives parked right next to it in this price bracket. My honest take, having watched this brand cycle through genuine hits and some very public misses over the years, is that Range Rover finally built something that argues for itself through design alone rather than badge prestige. And that's rare enough to take seriously, even with the risks still attached. It reminds me a little of the skepticism around the Range Rover Sport SV before that car actually landed in driveways. And that one won over plenty of doubters once people got behind the wheel instead of just reading spec sheets. That's the Range Rover GT, everything that's confirmed and everything we're still waiting on. Let me know in the comments whether you daily drive this thing or keep it parked for weekends only. And if you want the complete breakdown the moment Range Rover drops final specs and real pricing, subscribe so you don't miss it, because the Car Analyst will be back the second that happens.